All right, what's up, everybody? So here's the thing. We got the Molly and the old man, and we got the other guy who hates this show with his wife. So me and my wife are going to talk about Star Trek, and we don't hate it. So that's different. Can you imagine if we had done? We should have done that.
Are you specifically talking, when you say Star Trek, you're specifically talking about Picard?
Yeah.
Those other people, I'm assuming, don't hate Star Trek.
No, they don't hate Star Trek, but they hate all new Star Trek. But we hate all new Star Trek too.
Yeah, I hate all of it.
So, but you don't. But you like season 3.
Yeah, so far.
So
I'm not willing to pass full judgment until I've seen the entire thing.
I know it could go to hell in the end, but it's so the point is, though, if we should have done that. We should have watched, but I don't think we could have. But we could have hate watched season 1 and 2 together and crapped on them.
I never want to see season 1 or 2 ever again in my life.
You didn't even really see season 2.
I didn't finish 2, right?
It's terrible.
It was so bad. You know, it's weird because I usually don't not finish stuff, even when I'm like, especially with like Star Trek and everything, because it's like that stuff comes back around and different things and whatever. And it's like usually like I'll finish stuff, and I couldn't.
You walked out of the room.
Yeah. Well, I did actually, you know what? I did do the same thing with Discovery. I watched the first season and was like, wow, is this garbage? And never went back.
Yeah. Well.
And I wasn't going to watch the 3rd season of Picard.
You know what, though? You did. I think you watched because I think that Strange New Worlds is acceptable enough. Like, it's like a 6 out of 10 show. So I have problems with it, but like I watched all 10 episodes. Did you watch all 10? I feel like
no.
you missed some of them.
I didn't see, like, I think maybe the last 2.
Yeah. You kind of like lost kind of a little bit of interest.
Yeah, it wasn't like I hate it and don't want to watch it. It was sort of like I'm just not enjoying this. And it didn't feel like, because it's like sort of, it is stuff that's in the past. I mean, it's pre-Kirk. So I was kind of like, I don't really care about watching it.
Well, then we got Kirk in episode 10, and it was weird. But anyway, well, that's a different show.
But I tried. Well, it's the same Kirk, though, from Discovery, right?
Kirk is not in Discovery. But Pike is.
No. Or is it Kirk's brother that's in Discovery?
No, Spock is. But who cares?
There's somebody in Discovery.
I don't know, but it doesn't. We're talking about Picard now, so we don't want to get off into this tangent about what's the other thing.
Either way, I didn't like Kirk.
Okay, well, I didn't like that. I was a little. He reminded me of the Jim Carrey Kirk, and so it was like a guy was doing the Jim Carrey Kirk, not William Shatner Kirk.
Right.
It
was like almost like a parody.
It was like a serious take on a parody. It was very weird.
Oh, it was stupid. I didn't like it. I was
the guy looks weird.
No.
I don't know. He looks strange. I don't know the guy.
Didn't fit. Casting.
Pike looks more like Kirk.
Was bad.
Pike seems more like Kirk than Kirk, but he doesn't act like Kirk really. But anyway, so there's where we're at. So we, real quickly, Leah and me have watched all the. You know my thing. I've watched all the original Star Trek. Blah 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 blah. Leah has too. So Leah grew up with Star Trek, same way as me. Every night we go to bed to TNG because it puts us to sleep, but we also like it. It's what we watch.
It's easy to watch because it's like we've seen every episode, so you can kind of just put it on as like a little background episode. You don't feel like you have to sit up and watch it because you're like, what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen, so it's easy to put on and go to sleep.
It's just good, though.
Comfort TV.
And like I said this to someone the other day, I said, you'll never have anything as good as that because it's not just that TNG is really good. It's that there's nostalgia involved, too. So even if this new Star Trek stuff was really, really good and whatever, it will still never get the same rating I would give TNG because it doesn't have the nostalgia to me being a kid. So it's just not going to be as good ever. But that's okay. But so you were not going to watch season 3.
Right.
You were like, I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
And I said the same thing. I was like, nope, I'm not. Well, I'm not watching it because I can't do this anymore. I cannot do it. And so I wasn't going to watch season 3. Then I started hearing about, there's a whole different showrunner. And I was like, what? They got a whole different showrunner for 3? Why would they do that? And then.
Yeah, but didn't they for 2?
No.
After 1?
Well, the guy who writes.
And that just got worse.
Akiva Goldsman, who does Strange New Worlds, did season 2. But you gotta realize, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm guessing what kind of happened is he sort of outlined the basic idea of the story, and then he gave it to writers. Like, here's the story and what's going to happen, and so it's already planned out. Here's what's happening. Spoilers, by the way, everybody. We're going to go into spoilers, so duh. But okay, it's going to start like this, and then this is going to happen with the Borg thing at the beginning, and then what's going to happen is, Picard, and it's this mystery in Q, and the whole reason is because Picard saw his mother hung, and that's why he doesn't have good relationships. And then in the end, Q's dying, and then this is going to happen. They're going to go away. So he writes the whole outline, right? Akiva Goldsman, probably with somebody else, writes the whole outline of the idea. And then they just basically give a lot of these episodes to other writers, and so they can do whatever they want, which explains why they're just full of SJW messages all over the place, and the show goes nowhere, and it's awful. So, but when I heard there was a new showrunner for season 3, I was like, okay. But then I heard that he wrote a couple things in season 2, and I went, oh no, oh. But he honestly wrote the best episodes. The best episodes in season 2 are 1 and 2. They're probably the best episodes, and they're not. I don't love them either, but he had to adhere to the outline of what story Akiva Goldsman was telling, and that was, Terry Matalas. So then I heard, about Terry Matalas and whatever, and I was like, okay, he's a big Star Trek fan, but so is Akiva Goldsman. So that didn't really give me a ton of confidence yet, but when I found out what type of Star Trek fan he was, I was like, all right, I'm getting a little more excited based on what I'm hearing. And I found out that he wrote episodes 1 and 2. So I'm like, well, they were okay compared to the other episodes in season 2, so maybe it'll be a little better. And then people got a hold of the show, and they saw it, and these were people that hated seasons 1 and 2. But then I thought, well, maybe they're paid shills. Maybe these people were paid off to like it, or given it and given presents and whatever else. But then other people started seeing it and saying they liked it. And that's when I told you that I'm telling you something's different. And I did some research on Terry Matalas, and I watched a little bit of the 12 Monkeys stuff, and I knew about it from before. And I'm like, okay, that was really, that show is so complicated based on the time travel. Like, they have to get all these things right in order for it to make sense. And it's said by many, many people that it's one of the best time travel shows ever. And so to get all that stuff right, that way Terry Matalas is smart. So I'm like, all right. So I'm starting to get confidence. And then I said this to you. I said, I think I'm going to watch season 3. The whole cast is coming back, and it might be a little bit better. And I thought maybe it could be a little bit better. And you still wouldn't watch it. You were like, no, not watch it. And then I had to buy you something. I don't even remember now. What did I have to do? I had to buy you a book. Yep. I had to buy her a book.
Special book.
To watch season 3. What's the special book? The Kama Sutra.
It's a first edition, first printing copy of one of my favorite books.
Kama Sutras.
Yeah, that one.
People are going to really
think
how
old that book would be? That would be a first edition, first print of the Kama Sutra. Wouldn't that have to be in a museum or some crap?
Imagine all the jizz stains on it. All right, but no, I had to buy you a book, so I bought you a book, and so you agreed to watch the first episode with me. Probably. I mean, I was worried a little bit about it, but I just kept hearing more and more good stories about it. So I was like, all right. So we watched the first episode, and that's where we see Beverly at the beginning. And, in the past, Beverly didn't get a lot of important scenes in the movies at all. She really didn't do much at all in the movies. But in the show, she got a lot of great moments in the show. So it opens up with Beverly. How did you, I'm trying, because I've already said a lot of things about how I feel about this, but so far at the beginning, they get rid of Laris, right, from Picard's mansion or whatever. She's gone. And,
oh, yeah. I didn't like her.
Well, you didn't like anybody new. We didn't like anybody new, really.
Nope.
I didn't mind the actress and stuff. I just don't like...
Unfortunately, we still have to look at Rafi's stupid face.
Ooh. You really
hate
That
character
Rafi.
Is horrible. That is a horrible, horrible character.
All right, calm down.
Well, see, you kept telling me too. So before you bought me the book, you were trying to convince me to watch the show, and I said no. And you kept saying, everybody says that it doesn't matter whether you watch the first 2 seasons. It's nothing like that. It's it doesn't matter. But in my head, by watching the 3rd season, I feel like I'm accepting the other 2 seasons.
A lot of people said that. Yeah,
And
that they
I hate those seasons with such a passion that I literally just want to, in my own head, I guess, be like, that shit never happened.
That's kind of what I do.
But
Picard's
then
a robot, though.
so then I started watching the 3rd season, and they're, with the exception of that like one episode, I forget which one it is, where they're is it 4? That they're stuck. It's when they're stuck in the thing or whatever.
Yeah, they're in the nebula that's alive.
Yeah, they're stuck in there, and that whole episode, which is out of all of them probably my favorite so far.
4.
Yeah, I think it is 4. Yeah. So because I like that it's a contained episode, sort of like there's not a whole lot of bouncing out to other. I don't think there's any. I don't think you see Raffi at all. Like there isn't any Raffi, Worf, any of that stuff going on.
Yeah, every time I've watched it a couple of times now. I started watching with my mom the other day, and every time we went to Raffi, I went, "Oh no, like get me out of this, like get me out of this part."
I hate her character. She's an annoying character.
She is. She does get. I feel like she gets better though in the season.
I feel like she doesn't.
She called Jean-Luc the other day in episode 6. She went, Jean-Luc,
nothing.
No JL.
Nothing made me more angry than hearing her call him JL. That was I don't know who came up with that, but fucking quit your job. That was the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You
quit your job.
Do something else. You thought that was a good idea?
They probably are doing something else.
JL? Let's call him JL. Fuck off.
I'm assuming some young writer thought of that, or even Picard, even Patrick Stewart or Michelle Hurd could have thought of it, or it was a young writer, or it was Michael Chabon. So, but
that was horrible.
It was. Nobody likes. Well, the new Trek fans like it, like the casual people, like the lady that called me. I was called a racist on Twitter earlier today because I said I don't like Raffi, and they said, "Oh, of course, a white guy doesn't like Raffi." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh God, I ignore those people.
Well, they're Nazis, but I like.
They're not even worth calling names or thinking about. It's literally just ignore.
Well, it's stupid.
Like,
I like Cisco.
Whatever.
Cisco's. It doesn't make any.
Well, yeah, but that's why I'm saying it's stupid because people, like, if you don't agree with them, they'll just label you as something, and it's like, all right, you're not worth my time.
Well,
you can't have a critical thought.
Well, they don't. That's the way that we're going. But I think it might have been either way. It was a stupid thing because nobody should call Jean-Luc Picard JL.
It's like
nobody.
Disrespectful. I feel like
it's sickening almost. But anyway, she does get better. I will say that she gets better. She gets it in 6. Yeah, in 6 she's kind of like helpful, and she's like Riker and Worf are kind of arguing. She's like, "Can we just find the thing or whatever?" And then, she says Jean-Luc. So she's like, you can't just do a hard reset, right? Because that doesn't seem right. So instead, I think what they're doing is they're slowly kind of like retconning her, but like with the help of Worf teaching her.
Why couldn't they get rid of her?
I think part of it is because they needed something else to help with the story, and they looked around and she was what they had.
Why couldn't they use the kid?
I think they like the actress. I think they're all friends too. I think they really like Michelle Hurd.
Well, you shouldn't cast stuff based on friends.
I know, but Michelle Hurd to me is like the fun aunt that comes over, like the real life actress. Like she seems like a fun person. But in the Star Trek world...
I'm not talking about her personally.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying...
I'm talking about her character.
But if you were friends with her, you'd like, you know what would work if we had somebody... You know what? Michelle Hurd could do that character. So that's probably where it came from, and someone probably likes her. They came up with a relationship between Seven of Nine and her, all because they were at a party together, and one of the writers was like, it'd be cool if you two were blah, blah, and that's how they came up with it. It's stupid.
Dumb.
And that's why it's stupid, because in the show they don't like fall in love. And that's the funny thing is, I think I brought this up. I criticized this once, and someone says, "Oh, you hate gay people." It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I don't like Discovery, but I love Stamets and the Doctor's relationship. I think they're adorable. Like, I like them. I was actually angry when they killed the Doctor. I was like, what the hell? Like, I like these two, and they're gay men, and I like them. But so it has nothing to do with that. It's that there's nothing that's going on with Raffi and Seven. They just suddenly are together, and it's like, what? And then they're suddenly broken up. But whatever. So because there's people on Twitter like demanding like, what happened to all the relationships? LG like it doesn't have it anymore.
This is why I stay off Twitter.
I know,
Honestly,
but it's
Twitter is just a horrible, horrible place.
I know, but I think
it's like all the same people, like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
One of the very few things I actually care about to look at Twitter for is like updates for Stranger Things. And the writers wrote something the other day about it being like Will, like the character, like the actual character,
Yeah.
Will's birthday. And all you've got is every single comment in there is people wanting and demanding there be a relationship between Mike and Will. And it's like
Jesus.
they're trying to justify it with like, because people are like, that just doesn't make any sense based on all the character storylines, and like, well, like this and the way he looked at him here, and they're trying to justify it, and it's like, and they're like, oh, it's almost like they'll like riot if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, people
and it's
are
like
weird.
You need to get over it. Like clearly the setup is not there. It's just something that you want.
If I was a writer, I wouldn't listen to any of this until the reviews come out because
God, I hope. That's the unfortunate thing is though. I think is that like writers look at a lot of this stuff and
they
they're
do,
like,
but
we have to do it because of this, because of the fans and everything. And it's like, please don't just listen to these like crazy loud people that are like all over Twitter demanding stuff. Can you just make stuff that you were gonna make?
Well, I think that's
just let it be what it was always going to be instead of looking at what people are demanding.
That's the problem with some of the writing on Picard season 1 and 2. It's written by 25-year-old writers, a lot of them.
Babies in Hollywood.
And they have no life experience. They literally just were on the internet their whole lives, went to college, got out of college, and then they're writing in Hollywood, and all they know is agenda and propaganda stuff, and we have this message, and we've got to put it like, so they're just nuts. So anyway, what were you saying? We're talking about. Oh yes, episode 4 was your favorite.
Yeah. I liked that it was like super contained. Everything was happening like just on the Enterprise. They had all these. It felt like, because I've said it a million times to you, and I think I've said it on some other shows that we've done. I prefer my Star Trek to be episodic, not serial. Like, but I know like that's how Picard is and all this stuff and everything else. I just prefer episode. I like it when you start something and by the end of it's wrapped up. Even if you have like other things that are like intertwined, like the Borg and all these bigger storylines, that's fine. Like have those pop up or have them like whatever. I really like sitting down and watching an episode where it's like there's some problem at the beginning and by the end they've solved it. And episode 4 felt like that. Even though there is like this bigger thing.
But it's a build-up. Episode 4 is the culmination of the 3 episodes that came before it, though.
I know, but it still felt like where it's like at the beginning they're stuck in this like living nebula thing, and by the end of it they're out. And it's like yeah, they've got the other things that they're dealing with, the problems and everything like that. But it's still I'm just saying it felt like that. It felt like an episode, and I liked that because it was like, all right, cool, like and like I just. That's one of my reasons. It's like I like the stuff that happened on the holodeck too. I like a lot of the conversation and everything that happened on the holodeck. I kind of like that crazy captain.
Shaw.
Yeah, I hated him. I'm not real good at. I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm not real good at remembering names.
Liam Shaw.
But
Captain Liam Shaw.
The first episode
from Chicago.
The first episode, it's like, wow, he's a like mega douche. And everything, and it's like, all right, he's a super stickler for the rules, and it's like, I hate those captains that are like super stickler for the rules, are annoying. But then like you get later on, he's kind of like gives in on some stuff, even though he like Seven kind of manipulated him a little bit, which is funny because it's like, you're stupid. But later on, like his whole little mini backstory, letting it drop that he was
Cisco's story.
An engineer. Basically, yeah, it kind of was, except, like he lost his friends rather than losing his wife.
Yeah.
But, it's like that comes back so many times. I feel like that's just happened to Picard his whole life where everybody's mad at him.
Yeah, he's like, here we go again. Here's another one.
But, like, I don't know. At some point, because I think I said this to you, you think at some point somebody would have, like, it would have gotten out there that it's like, you realize, like, he was, like, being controlled. Like, Picard would never willingly be like, let's kill people.
Yeah. They act like he's the reason why the Borg was so devastating, when it was all they did was he knew the codes to that Wolf 357. Like, he knew the codes to that area. It's not like Picard himself was so amazing that he was able to kill more people. Like they just took from his brain.
Right.
That's really all that happened.
And after learning about, once they learned about the Borg and more about the Borg and learning all these different things, and they know more, you have more knowledge. I can't believe after all this time, people are still like so angry with him and stuff like that. You think that it would kind of be out there that people would understand. I guess I get it that it's like, you know, he watched all his friends die and he was lucky to just be lucky that he was chosen to go on that escape shuttle and stuff like that. But I don't know, I liked hearing his whole story, and he has funny lines like here and there or whatever, like your mom's pretty liberal with those pain medication or whatever he says.
Well, he is. You like Stranger Things. He's like the who's the cop's name? He's like that guy, kind of.
Oh, yeah, oh my god, why am I drawing a blank?
I can't think of it either, which is crazy.
It's right there.
I don't remember. Hopper, yeah, he's like Hopper, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, that's the type of thing you like. Someone who's
Hopper breaks rules all the time.
He's an engineer. I mean, this guy probably, he's finally, I don't know. But anyway, I like him too. He's a little bit, it's a little bit like concerning for me. Like, this isn't a captain wouldn't really, but I like him too.
He feels more like a captain now than before. Like when he was like the very first episode or whatever it is, and he's like a super stickler for following the rules and all this stuff, and he's like, no, not doing that, blah blah blah, like trying to like get out of them what they're actually there for. Like he realizes like this is bullshit.
Well, I think that he was putting on that, and that's what it was, is because some people said, how can this guy flip so differently? And it's like, well, I think he was putting on a huge power move to basically be like, nope, you're not going to come in here and do whatever it is that you think you're doing. And so that's all it was. Once he started to unravel and he started to see them more as what was really going on, he did loosen up a little bit. But he's, I don't know, I like him too. So I liked in the first episode when Riker called Picard captain by accident. I thought that was cool. Anyway, so we don't learn a ton in that first episode, but it's got memorable scenes. Like, I think I'll never forget that scene when they sat down for that food with him, and then he was like, oh, your reputation preceded you so far, I started without you. That was a very movie scene. And the only concern about this, you talked about episodic, the only concern about the season seemingly being good is that we might get more of a 10-story arc now going forward because, it worked finally. So that's the only thing to be concerned about. But maybe the reason why...
I don't know, because they've been doing that.
I know, but you don't like your Star Trek episodic, but...
No, I like it episodic.
Or you like it episodic, but so don't I. But you like Stranger Things, which is like the opposite of that.
Well, that's why I like Star Trek that way.
But you don't really like Strange New Worlds that much. And do you like this better than Strange New Worlds so far?
Yeah, the subject matter of Strange New Worlds was what was like the kind of a bother to me.
Subject matter? What do you mean?
Like the whole dealing with like, well, I'd also, the other reason I don't like Strange New Worlds is I know where it's going. You know what happens to Pike.
Yeah.
Pike knows what happens to Pike, apparently. And it's things like that where it's like, him like being like, I can prevent these kids' deaths, and you have to go through this whole episode of him playing out what would have happened if he was still the captain and not Kirk when
episode 10, yeah.
Yeah, was that episode 10?
Yep.
So I did see 10.
It's the Balance of Terror like remake
Maybe
sort of thing.
I did see all of them.
No, I think you stopped around 6 or 7, but I've watched that episode many times.
All right, could be then.
I did a podcast on this the other day. There's actually, I like 3 episodes of the 10. I think I like 3 or 4 episodes, and that's it, right? Like I've actually rewatched several episodes, but anyway, so you like this maybe better than, and this is episodic. So maybe it's just that there has never been good Star Trek. I mean, non-episodic Star Trek. So maybe that's why you don't like that. But now this is the first time there is, besides a movie, which a movie is about 2.5 hours. This is 10 hours. But in order there's so much time has passed to get all the cast and crew back. There's room to do this. You know what I mean? Like they would have been really squished in to get them all back in a movie in the first 30 minutes to continue the movie. I feel like, which, there might be more, but so episode 4 is your favorite. I like 4 because it's got like what they've done is they sneak in these little like emotional moments of character story, and then they sneak in these Star Trek moments, and then they put in music that I like, and it's all kind of like tying in a perfect way to me. So I like episode 2 has those moments. Episode 4 has those moments. Episode 5 kind of does because of Ro and like Picard's, like they have some really good dialogue scenes. But episode 5 is the most different of all the episodes. It's kind of like Ship in the Bottle, and it all takes place almost on the ship except for the Raffi Worf stuff. And it's just about Ro and Picard, really.
I do like some of Worf's like silly lines, like he's always had.
Yeah.
Like in Generations, and then in Deep Space Nine, like Raffi. Now I'm saying Worf has always had those kind of like
one-liner deadpan.
funny things.
Somebody had a criticism. Someone had a criticism of Worf the other day. They said the Worf sounded like Data instead of Worf. Like Worf gets off the pad and he says, Captain Picard's like, it's been, and then Worf is like 11 years, 5 days. Like he has it all down. He says, and they were like, that's a line that Data would say. I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like something. Why would it's like he's instead of saying like, yes, it's been a long time, Captain. He like knows the exact time. I don't know.
I feel like you can like that's not a big deal. Like,
yeah,
I heard that in like other movies and shows where somebody's like, it's been this long, and they like rattle off the time, and it's like because you're important to me.
Yeah.
So I know.
That was Worf's way of kind of saying that. Like, yep, it's been this long, and I get your bottle of mead every year, even though I don't know if wine's mead, but.
No, I think he called it. What is it, sour mead? Because it's wine.
Sour mead.
Or bitter mead or something.
Yeah.
I forget, like, whatever. I'm assuming a Klingon's main beverage. But then again, he knows what tea is, and he's familiar with tea, so...
Yeah, he's raised on Earth. I mean, he's really from Earth. He says my homeworld all the time. But, I mean, he's always wanted to kind of... Worf has always wanted to be, like, from
I don't think
Kronos.
Human... Well, I don't know. Maybe...
No, it said he always wanted to be like Klingon. He always wanted to be more Klingon and that stuff. He always has talked like this. People are like, all of a sudden, wasn't he raised on Earth? It's like, yeah, he was, but on the Next Generation, he still acted this way. He was talking about Klingons in the battle and all the... what I mean?
He was super into his heritage.
There you go.
Super into his heritage. Like, very, very much so.
What do you think of the music at the beginning of the... Because there's like there's a little bit of like contemporary going on with music in some of it, almost like there's the classical stuff, which I don't know why like at the beginning of the entire series that song is playing. I don't remember who the song's by, the old timey song.
Anything's better than Enterprise.
Well, but I mean like
even
in
Discovery,
the show.
when I remember saying that, I was like the best part of Discovery was the opening theme.
Yeah, that is a good theme.
It is.
Bad
it really
show.
is a good theme, and then a bad show, just like Enterprise had a bad theme, but a good show.
But this isn't the theme, though, that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the music in the show.
Oh, I don't remember.
There's some contemporary music. There's like some like Led Zeppelin-y sounding stuff that happens, like almost like they're doing Guardians of the Galaxy at times.
Well, I like Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
I know. But anyway, anything else that you like or don't like? So far, you like this season.
I like that the characters feel the same. Because I felt like watching Picard in those first 2 seasons, it didn't feel like Picard. Like, the way he interacted and did things. And he's still a little off, but I guess really you can't pull him so far away from those first 2 seasons.
The only thing that can explain how he's a little more downer now than he used to be, he doesn't have the pep that he used to have, is he's old. He really is old.
I hate that he's a robot.
Well, yeah.
I still think about that all the time. And it just...
Yeah. Well, and now they're kind of... It's weird because I heard like, don't worry about that. It doesn't really matter that much in the season. But it seems like it matters a lot now. Like after episode 6, it seems like that's a big deal. But maybe it's not. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm accepting it because this season writing is so good that they're making you like, okay, yeah, like he is a robot.
So like that episode where like they're walking through like Daystrom or whatever.
Yes, which is the space station Daystrom, like Area 51 of Starfleet, not the Daystrom Institute on Earth. People
Right.
confuse
It's their super secret
place
whatever
version
place.
of it.
And you see, like, they pass by something and it says, doesn't it say Captain Kirk?
Yeah, there's a big thing going on.
So did
about
they like
that.
go get his body from like where
Yeah.
it was under all
I'm
the
assuming.
rocks?
Okay, so right now there's
So they
video.
went and got him.
People think Kirk's alive. Other
No.
people think they're gonna bring Kirk back to life, which is insane. And other people don't think that he's alive, but his remains are in there, and that's it. But people
I'd
are
go more with that.
even Dave Cullen, who is a reviewer that I like, who likes this season a lot now, doesn't like that. He says he's upset. He's like, that just diminishes his death more. And I don't, if Kirk's body is just being stored in there for whatever reason, and his genome or whatever, not gene, but his genes or his body or his remains, whatever, that doesn't bother me if they're storing Captain Kirk's body in this chamber. I mean, that is a little weird, but it's not that bad. What would be weird is if they, like, were bringing him back again.
Yeah, please, I hope not.
So they must have gone to Viridian 3 and taken his body. But I thought I interpreted this as a good, like, not a retcon, but a good thing, because people always complain that you just left him on that planet. You just, like, Picard buried him.
What is he gonna do? At least he buried him and didn't leave him to be like,
yeah, so
friggin' eaten by wildlife or roast in the sun or something like
well,
that.
that's
At
what
least
I took
he
it as.
gave him the
That's exactly what I took it as.
the respect of a burial.
Captain Picard put bricks on top of him and rocks on top of him. In my opinion, that was a temporary resting place, because he did that before Starfleet showed up. So he buried the guy with rocks to protect his body. And then in the next scene, Picard and them are leaving to go away, and the Enterprise has crashed, and that's the end of the movie. So in my headcanon, he told them, Captain Kirk and the Nexus, and this is what happened. He's buried up there on that mountain. So they went up there and retrieved him. So to me, that makes Generations better, because that makes it so, like, okay, they didn't just leave him there. Picard, while he was waiting, protected the body so it didn't get eaten by animals and stuff, and covered it in rocks. And then they must have gone and retrieved it. Now, why it's in the Area 51, that's a little weird, but at least that tells me that they didn't just leave his body there.
Yeah, that's so silly that, like, people would get mad that Picard buried him. Like, what do you want him to do? What would you prefer?
Well, I don't think they were married, Picard. They weren't mad that he buried him. I think they were just mad that he was left there. And now we know he wasn't.
I never assumed that he was left there. I assumed at some point I didn't assume that they put him in, like, some Daystrom secret whatever place.
Well, see, that's the problem.
But I assumed at some point somebody went and retrieved him.
Well, I picture it like this. So wait a minute, what happened to Kirk? They just left him buried on the mountain? This sucks. Wait a minute. They did get Kirk off Viridian 3. Nice. Wait a minute. He's in the Area 51 section of Star. Ugh. Like, so it's like, yes, no. It's like, no, yes, no.
I don't know that they're going to do anything. I think it's probably just there to back up that, like, creepy ass shit goes on in this place.
Do you know what I'm concerned about? Because now we will come back to talk.
I'm concerned about a lot of things. So.
We will come back to talking about what we think about this season. But real quick, a quick little prediction here, and maybe it won't happen, but I mean, they don't have enough people to do this, is why I don't think it's gonna happen. But the whole fleet, like, a lot of the fleet is compromised apparently, right? Like, a lot of people are compromised.
I think they're assuming that it all is at this point.
Oh, that'd be really weird then, because I would think that there'd only be a couple of changelings on every ship, or maybe something like that.
I think the problem is now they know that these changelings are different than, like, Deep Space Nine changelings, you know? They figured that out. Beverly figured it out. And now after the stuff with Ro and them basically being fugitives, it's like you've got the compound of, like, who can we actually trust, because now we don't know who's who, and you're going to have to come up with some secret way of figuring out who's who. That's stuff that only certain people would know, information, because that's something that the changelings can't just know.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they're also fugitives now. So it's like, who's going to be willing to believe us? Even if you find a ship with people that aren't, changelings in charge, they might not necessarily believe that you aren't doing something bad because now that's been put out in Starfleet. So you've got like, I think they're like on their own without finding people that they're super, super, super duper close to that would believe them, that they also know that they can trust.
It does leave
in general, I would assume, though, that you wouldn't, in general, just be able to go out to the fleet.
Well, it leaves the door open, I guess, for them to maybe run into and find a lot of old friends from the show. Like, this is where they can
after
really...
Ro popping up, it's like, all right, cool. Who's going to pop up next?
Yeah,
it's fun. It's like, that's like the first, that was really fun because I had known the original crew was coming back. So I'm like, all right. That like made me nervous and stuff for its own reasons and all that, but
well, yeah, because we thought it was going to be, well, now they're going to ruin everybody, but luckily they didn't.
No, I'm worried about deaths. Basically,
yeah.
Every time they start bringing people like that back, I'm like, oh, great, we've got all of these people here for deaths to choose from, and I'm not. And then they're starting to bring in all the children of all of these different people and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, no. It's like now you've got all this legacy of these major characters, so I feel like it's at that point easier to kill off people because it's like, well, now they've got their legacy, children characters, which makes things like that scary. But what was I saying before that? Because now I got lost.
I was talking about how they could really introduce a lot of old characters.
Oh, right,
because
so
they have to vet people, and we have to know who they are to know who they are to know whatever.
Right, so I knew that the original cast was there, but I had no idea, and I don't think you did. There was nothing out there.
I know there's one...
I didn't think there was anything out there about Ro.
Oh, no, yeah, nothing.
Right, so when Ro showed up, it was like,
I had no idea.
Yeah, so when Ro showed up, it was like, oh, damn. And then you start thinking, like, is she changeling? She's changeling Ro, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, it's real Ro. And it was like, oh, that was really cool. I really liked that. Because then you wonder, too. You wonder whatever happened to Ro and stuff like that. You see her right before the very last episode of Generations, and she's off. And it's like, whatever happened to Ro? Now you know.
Yeah, it was cool that they tied up a character story. People are mad they killed her, but I think most people aren't. Most people liked the whole story.
Yeah,
but,
I saw that silliness.
But they fridginged her.
Which is, no.
Next week, or on episode 7, we're getting the return of somebody, which we can't say, but we don't know either. But the bottom line is Will Wheaton on the Ready Room said he can't announce who the person on the Ready Room is because it's a spoiler for episode 7. So in episode 7, another person is coming back. And so then in episode 8, maybe there's someone coming back. And I would assume a bunch of people coming back because...
I'd rather not know. Honestly, I wish Will Wheaton didn't say that. Because
that someone was coming back?
Right. Because just seeing Ro was like, oh, like, but now it's like when I go to watch the episode, it's going to be like, okay, well, who? Like, like you're waiting for it.
Well, I think going forward, to be honest, I think there's going to be something in every episode now going forward. That's what I think. But
maybe. But with him coming out and saying that, now it's going to be like, who?
Well, I think it's because if I'm writing this show, I'm thinking about how can we introduce all these people and get, all these old people, old school people and old friends and little side crew members. How can we get everybody back? And this whole thing makes that possible because we need to vet if someone's real or not. Well, once the crew's together, that's how you're going to do that. And you can really use that to bring in all these other people. But also, they could literally, if they find some other people they trust, are we going to see all those ships from the Fleet Museum take on the other ships? Like, are we going to see the original, like, Enterprises and all this shit and Klingon Bird of Prey? And, are we going to see the New Jersey? Are we going to see the NX-01 refit, like, from Enterprise? Like, we're going to see, are they going to need to take those ships?
I just thought of something random.
Yeah?
I saw a weird... It's sort of Star Trek related. A weird tidbit fact, whatever little thing from Galaxy Quest. When they're showing the ship, and it's like, it says, how they have the letters and the numbers on the ships.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it says NTE on the outside of the ship, and I guess it stands for Not the Enterprise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When you started rattling off the names, it reminded me of that. I mean,
That's
I don't
funny.
know if it's true. I read it as it was a bunch of movie facts like all compiled in some place, and that
Probably
was
is.
one of them.
I never thought of it or noticed it, but it probably is. I love that. That movie's great. They're trying to make the second one. Can't do it without Alan Rickman though, so now I'm no interest.
Oh yeah.
My interest is out the window. That's like literally Spock's gone.
It was more like Worf with his funny one-liners.
Well, he was like a mix, yeah. Yeah. But either way, what the hell do you do without Alan Rickman? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, unfortunately, I don't really have interest. Yeah. I don't have interest.
One of those people that the stuff that he's been in, it's like, no, you can't change that.
When they were talking about the second one, I was like, hell yeah, that's going to be great. And
like,
then,
you would never be able to have Snape, you know?
Yeah. But that movie, but also Galaxy Quest, he's like the second role. It's Tim Allen and Alan Rickman and then the crew. You know, Sigourney Weaver's probably the third person in. But if you lose Alan Rickman, there it goes. The dynamic is gone. Mm-hmm. Tim Allen's like a jerk off, and Alan Rickman's like the straight serious guy. But he's funny because he's like Worf, like you said. But anyway, back to the Star Trek season 3.
He's just so funny because he's like just so annoyed.
Yeah,
and,
that's why it's funny.
Off with everything. It's great.
I love
that character.
But where were we? I don't know. But so yeah, I was saying the ships. They'd use all the old ships to fight the fleet. Like that seems to be like
they're not going to be able to stand up to that type of power.
They've got cloaking devices and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like they've got some wacky stuff going on.
Maybe they'll steal the Enterprise E. That's ready for decommission anyway. I don't know, but I don't know what's going to happen, but I know, and we don't really know who the big bad character is yet either, so there's that to look forward to.
Yeah, oh my god, the theories about that.
My theory from the beginning was that it'd be funny if it was Armus, and I still stand by that.
He's too stupid.
No, I'm telling you.
Armus is too stupid.
Oh my god. But maybe he was a kid on that planet at the time, but now he's an adult.
I think some stuff has been ruled out, because remember when we were watching... when we were watching the, not commercials, what do they call them?
Yeah, the trailers, previews.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my god, there's Moriarty and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And it's like, now we've seen that stuff pop up.
Well, people are mad about that. They're like, that's all he was in it for? It was like, well,
honestly,
dude,
it was good.
Yeah, they're not going to use it. Was to mislead you. So
that was perfect, because, yeah, you see it, and you're like, oh my, what? Like, what are they going to do with that? Like, has he become, like, somehow, like, in a body or something? Like, because, you know, he was, like, trapped in that little thing.
Well, also, we complained that it didn't make sense. We were like, it doesn't make sense. So, like, why would he be? And now it does make sense.
All right. It ended up making, like, perfect sense with that whole it was just, yeah. I mean, the way that it worked out with Moriarty, didn't see that coming, and I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Some people flipping out about, like, what a stupid thing that's all they used him for. And it was like, what did you want it? What? They literally wanted him to, like, come back and be the main villain. But
no,
like, why would you put him in the trailer then? You wouldn't do that. I
wouldn't have wanted him as the main villain.
Yeah, I mean, it could work, but no. It's fine the way it's perfect. What they did was great. I like what they did. I do. I think most people do, by the way. But there are some people. It made
sense too the way he was utilized.
Some people said it didn't. They were like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, yes, it does. His mind is in there, and he is the security system. And once he identified Riker, he instead of obviously what would have happened normally is they would use your own thoughts and fears against you as the AI device. But because it recognized Riker, it sort of like changed from like let's stop them and kill these intruders to like reaching out to him, like it was reaching out to Riker somehow. I don't know, and maybe even the thing I thought about the other day, maybe Data knows there's changelings, so that was Data trying to figure out if it was the real Riker.
Oh, damn, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I thought of that the other day, and I haven't heard anybody else mention that. So I thought, well, maybe that was Data testing Riker.
The only way yeah, that's
you got them to whistle the tune that they would only remember.
They have to have some sort of knowledge. That's how you're going to be figuring out who the changelings are now. Is knowing is with knowledge.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't think of that. I thought of that the other day. Maybe not though. Maybe Data will be able to know. Although he's Data lore before lol, but whatever. Soon, like he's a mix. I think by the end, it feels like it always felt like this that. By the end, something will happen where he'll just be almost fully Data with more of humanistic skin because he's kind of like Picard, actually. He's got the whatever that. What's those?
Isn't he like almost like more human than Picard is now, or something?
No, I think he's like his body is like Picard's body, but his brain is still a robotic brain or whatever. Whereas Picard has all his human brain is in his head, but his body is synth.
I can't remember what that dude on the whatever.
Yeah, Sung said, and there was a big speech. You got to watch it
Yeah.
like 3 times to literally start to try to retain exactly what he's saying there. But yeah. So I like what they did. I love the scene. Oh man, I don't know. Like I loved it. I love the thing. I'm a jerk. I love Data. So like I was like, anytime you can get me like pretty emotional, like I get excited. Like wow, this must be good. If I'm getting upset or whatever, it must be good. They do that to you several times, and I thought I was gonna hate the Jack character, and now I like him.
Oh my god, I'm having a real hard time.
Even though
that.
he's this evil guy he's from Downton Abbey though too. Like that's where a lot of people recognize him.
I didn't watch Downton Abbey. I don't know, but I watched Outlander.
Yeah.
And he's a horrible, horrible person. And like is so bad.
When
like, he's just like, oh god, he's such a bad dude.
But it kind of adds to it when he sort of might be bad at the beginning. You're like, oh, he's a bad guy for sure.
Yeah, but I did spend that like.
Or is he not? Is he a bad guy?
Remember, I was sitting next to you though, and I'm like, I know him from something.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to look it up. I wanted to figure it out myself because that's like kind of satisfying when you recognize something, from something, and you're like, I want to figure out where it is.
And Outlander is made by Ronald D. Moore.
It is.
Who wrote some of the best Star Trek, and now this guy's in Star Trek. Fucking bizarre. And they have nothing to do with each other really, but they do now through that. Episode 2 was great at the end when Beverly and Picard stared at each other, and then that whole thing, and then Picard became Picard again, and he like went into Picard mode. I love that. Shields up. He like started acting like not like a old measly person anymore.
Oh, yeah, like he didn't give a shit until it was his kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I give up on life.
Maybe we'll. Well, I think
it's my son. Knew. Okay.
I think he kind of knew, but it was like Beverly, because Riker the whole episode is like, "Are you not seeing this?"
Oh, I just remembered something else I liked from episode 4. Mm-hmm. I love the like revelation at the end. Like, you're getting all these stories, these flashback stories of Picard, like, sitting, trying to eat his meal, and you got all these cadets, like, coming up and talking to him.
Oh, that was 4, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
And he's talking and stuff like that and everything, and it's, he's, like, just telling these stories, whatever. And then I was like, all right, yeah, we're, like, hearing about these things that we're, like, familiar with and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's cool. And then at the very end, he remembers his son being in, like, Jack, and Jack did go look for him. And then he says that shithead line of, like, Starfleet's the only family I've ever needed or some shit like that. And Jack's just like, all right. And stuff.
Because he was just playing it up for all the cadets.
But it was great because, like, the whole time I was like, all right, we're just, like, living out these little stories. He's telling Jack these things and everything. And they even mixed in some stories. It's, like, almost like he's giving Jack these, like, little things that Jack then uses when, like, they're talking about, like, trying to get out. Like, he tells that story about him and Beverly's first husband, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
And like, doing that, and then, like, they're trying to figure out how to get out and stuff like that, and Riker's like, yeah, I've heard that story too, kid. It's like you think all these things. I didn't expect at the end for him to actually have been Jack was there, and he asked about, like, real family.
Well,
and
you
then
think that...
Picard says the shithead thing, and it was great.
I think it's at the beginning of episode 3. Picard, he basically goes, oh, he chose not to look for you. And that, like, kills Picard. He's, like, upset by that. Like, he's so upset. He could see it. He, like, did a good
Oh,
good
yeah,
acting.
Talking to Beverly?
Yeah, he's like, oh, and then Riker...
I'm assuming Beverly told him to find him at that bar.
Well, no, Beverly said, I told him to seek you out, and I said he could go see you, and this is where you are and where to find you.
Right,
and he decided not to. No. Beverly said he decided not to.
Oh, no, I know, right. But what I'm saying is that's how Jack knew where to find him. Beverly probably said, like, you can find him here.
Oh, yeah.
Because he mentions, like...
he's at Starfleet Academy, so...
Well, but there's a bunch of... No. He wasn't at Starfleet Academy.
He was at the 10 Forward Bar, I think, in California. But he was I believe at the time... I don't think... He might have been chancellor at the academy at the time.
As far as we know, Jack didn't go to any sort of formal Starfleet.
No, he didn't.
School.
But he went. He knew where to find Picard. She told him where to find him. He chose not to go. That's what she said, and that's what he believes. Like, oh damn, okay.
Right. It doesn't. Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't. You don't.
Because Riker's
you assume Jack never told his mom that he went to look for him.
So then he didn't tell her, so she didn't know that.
But he did go look, and he found out, and he was like, "Oh, you don't give a shit about your real families, anything like that." Okay, bye.
Or like, there's no like, if he had said, I don't know what he could have said, like, oh, my family burned to death in a fire, and I never had children, and I used to know. What is he going to tell him all that? He's not going to do that, so he's just playing it up for the cadets. Like, and he does love Starfleet. He is Starfleet, and this is his life. But so it's not that untrue. But anyway,
it's unfair. Like, Picard wasn't if he knew that was his son, he would never in a million years say that. But up to that point, Picard's thinking, I don't have any children. I never got married. He never made a family of his own. He never made a family of his own. He had his brother and his nephew that died. But he never made a family of his own. And so at that point,
he had a bunch of fake sons throughout the years. And
my God.
And Shinzon was his clone.
At this point, I'm just waiting for this. And that's why I'm so like on guard with this. I was like, that's the other reason I didn't want to watch season 3. Because it looked like he was going to have like another son or something like that. And I'm like, no, don't do this again. Every time a captain is given a son, they're like taken away, except for like Cisco. And I think that's only because like his son was there before that started. So, but it's like they keep doing it over and over again. Picard's had like 15 children at this point and a clone.
Well, yeah, and the clone bothered him because he saw himself in the clone, and then the clone's doing all this bad stuff. So finally, he almost has like a son because it's a young version of him, and in the end, that guy chooses to do the bad thing, and then he has to kill him, and then he stares at him. That's why Data has to like wake him up and transport him off the ship. But so he's had misery. It's all been misery for Picard forever.
So at this point, I really like the show. And I want to keep watching it.
You like Vadic, the bad guy, but not really the bad guy? She's like the bad guy right now.
It's hard to like a bad guy because they're bad. But as a bad guy, as bad guys go, yeah, interesting. I like it, and I'm curious.
So, went from not wanting to watch it at all to...
However, if it starts looking like it's gonna be like a non-Picard son situation, I might check out. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, we're already, past the halfway point here.
I know, but I'm real nervous that as we get close to the end, it's gonna be a non-son situation again.
I like Geordi's daughter too. He has a real daughter on the show. She hasn't really done too much yet, but the other daughter.
Which one's his real daughter?
The one that we
like in real life.
The one that we meet in 6.
So all right,
it's with him.
Yeah, okay. So the other one is his daughter in the show, but not daughter in real life.
Right. So I
don't really know enough about the one that he's like working with or whatever.
The one that he's working with is his real daughter, and
right? I don't know enough.
She's just beginning acting, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, as a character though, I don't really know enough about her. But the one that we've seen, I like her.
I like the one we've seen. Yeah. Everybody likes her a lot. So like you said, I think if they can make this show continue after this season is over somehow with there's a lot of characters and a lot of stuff they could do. So
well, I said that to you. I was like, I'm worried they're going to start killing off original cast left and right now because they've got all these kids. I don't care if you want to go make a show with the kids or do something with the kids or whatever, but like, please don't butcher all the original cast to do it.
Unless they all go up in flames, like in the same ship together. That'd be just set it to auto-destruct, like they blow up. And then at the end, the ending of the last episode is holograms of all of them on the Enterprise D, and the kids are looking at their parents. Oh, no, yeah, you'd flip out. But yeah, so that's about it. Is there anything else? I mean, episode 4 is probably my favorite, then or maybe episode 6.
4 is definitely my favorite.
I think it's 4, 6, and then 2. And it seems like the odd ones are the darker ones. Episode 1 was slower when you look at it now. Episode 3 is kind of dark. Episode 5 is dark, kind of. Maybe episode 7 will be dark. And episode 6, 2, and 4 are all the fun, like, payoffs. So it's almost like the Star Trek movies. The even numbers are the better ones. But I like it all because you have to have it It's not that anything's bad, but it's just funny.
I mean, I don't need like all sorts of crazy action going on and stuff like that to enjoy
I liked
stuff.
There's so many details, and so many people have talked about them that that's not what we're here to do. So it's just these feelings. We're doing feelings. Like the Ferengi looking like the Ferengi again makes me happy. It's so stupid, but just that. And that guy that plays the Ferengi is the main character of 12 Monkeys. That's why I know Terry Matalas put him in this, but he's great. He is like, I'm like, that's
looks like a Ferengi.
Yeah, he is a Ferengi. Like, that's crazy.
God, I hate Discovery so much. Why make a show that's supposed to be like in the same timeline as other stuff, but then change how all the aliens look?
Well, they went way into the future now, so the Ferengi that appears is a Ferengi like 700 years in the future. So maybe.
Well, explain the Klingons.
Well, you can't.
Exactly. And you know what? 700 years is not enough time for the Ferengis to like. Even if you want to say it's like evolution, that takes millions of years.
I choose to believe that it doesn't even matter because I don't even care about Discovery. I don't think it's real. I don't even consider it to be real.
Canceled.
Well,
finally, it took long enough.
It is.
Should have happened forever ago. A terrible show.
Does the darkness of the show not bother you? That has been a concern of people too. I don't
What do you
mind
mean the darkness.
The darkness of Picard. It's a little dark on the ship, but
you mean
I like it.
Lighting
yeah,
or
yes, lit. It's very lit.
We're gonna get fucking darker than hanging people's moms.
Oh no, that's season
fucking
2.
Ridiculous bullshit.
My mother hung herself. It's hanged too, by the way.
I don't care what it is. It's garbage.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, literally the worst season of Star Trek. Star Trek is season 2 of Picard.
It is. Look at Rotten Tomatoes.
And honestly, I like season 3. I'm glad that I watched it. And I'm sad that I think people aren't going to watch it because of the abomination that season 2 was.
That's the problem is there is a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that are like, no.
There's some things that I'm nervous about.
I had like force you and bribe you to get you to watch it. Can you like? And I knew.
Can you blame me?
No, but it's
after having to watch Discovery then Picard and then Picard season 2 and it just keeps going and going. It's like I'm sick of being disappointed. I'll just stick to the old stuff.
Would you have believed me if I was like, it's good? Like after 3 episodes, would you have been like, okay, I'll try to watch it now? Or would I really have to buy you a book to get you to watch it?
No, it was gonna take the book.
That's crazy. That's
I wasn't
how bad
gonna
the
watch
other seasons
it. Well,
are.
I'm pretty damn stubborn too, and you know that.
I like what they did with Data too. I like that because like this explains why the body is older. You know what I mean? Because Brent Spiner was always like, oh, you could.
Oh my God, I said that forever ago though to you. When I remember, I know I've said it to you. I'm like, there's no reason they couldn't. There's an episode.
The de-aging chip. Brent always said that.
Well, no, because even in the very last episode, he has that white strip in his hair.
Yeah.
He can change his appearance. Like, they can do things to change him, and he wanted to change it to feel. It's like, why wouldn't you just say it was part of his, like, learning to be human experiences to age or
you
whatever?
You could do that, but Data's dead, so you have to bring him back, and then also. But this just makes more sense because you took the memories from B4, put them into a new body.
This is another option, and this works too. But I don't know.
I like that Geordi wasn't angry really either. In the trailers, it was like, oh no, Geordi's mad and angry. In this, he was just only kind of upset for a second. He was worried more about his daughters.
Yeah.
So it like makes sense.
I get it. I mean, he's right. It is different. Like you're a parent now. It's different than running around as it's just all I'm worried about is me. I still want to know what happened to Geordi's mom.
Did you look at all the stuff? Yeah, you're obsessed with his mom. I
don't like unanswered mysteries.
Oh, and his wife. You want to know who his wife is, and you're Leah.
Oh,
you're his wife, Leah.
No, because...
You're Leah. You're his wife.
They never answered that. I mean, I know in the last episode that's what's said, but I don't think that stuff matters, because even if it did, shouldn't Deanna be dead by now? She would have been dead a long time ago.
Well, no, all good things.
So I don't think anything that happens there matters, because everybody says, oh, that's who it would be, that's who his wife would be. I just want to know who he's married to. Maybe we find out. I don't know,
Right.
But I'm curious. It's like, I don't know, I think of little stupid things like that.
Yeah, because in
Although
all
Jordy's mom, that's a whole entire freaking episode, and you never find out. You never find out, and it drives me nuts. I don't even care. Sucked into a wormhole, blown into such small bits that there doesn't exist. I don't care what the answer is. Just please give me one.
I think it's because
Hate mystery.
All Good Things is not a set in stone thing. It's sort of an imagination
Yeah.
of what it could be, because that doesn't even happen. We already know the timeline's different because Worf and Deanna, Riker and Deanna get together instead. So that doesn't, right there, it all changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a Q episode. But I like that some things that happened in All Good Things are happening in this season, because it is plausible that a lot of things would happen.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to get Q because Q's dead. Wesley is off traveling somewhere.
Oh my God, Wesley. I'm so annoyed that he wouldn't just stop in to be like, "Hey, Ma."
Yeah.
I'll
help my mom.
No, he doesn't even need to help. I'm wondering, does he even know he has a brother?
That's right.
Unless it's a non-child, of course.
That's honestly my biggest issue with the entire season.
I don't believe that Wesley wouldn't show up and check in on his mother or just visit with her.
I don't
believe that.
And I don't believe that.
I
kind of don't believe Beverly would go missing for 20 years either. That's a little weird to me. I still don't really get that.
I could see her being... I have a hard time believing it. I do have a hard time believing it. But I can see after the whole trauma of losing... She's lost a husband.
She hasn't seen Wesley in a while.
Then she's now essentially lost her son. And then a breakup with Picard after whatever, them trying and all these different times. And then they break up. And then she finds out she's having this other child. I can see her being like, I'm going to protect this child at all costs and do whatever I need to, whatever, because she's lost literally everything else.
And I'm assuming in my head that...
However, it's like cutting off everybody in her life.
It is weird.
And Deanna?
I'm assuming in my head
they were close.
I'm assuming in my head that she basically was like...
They did Pilates
That she was working at...
Whatever that shit was.
Pilates.
I don't know what Pilates are. Yoga? Whatever they did
Yoga.
together. Whatever they were
yoga.
doing in the freaking
I don't know, but
exercises.
I was erect. I think they... So I see it as that she's upset that Starfleet isn't providing care to people everywhere and that they can't help more people. And so she's frustrated with not being able to help more people than they could be helping. And Starfleet only helps, their people first, the sort of thing. And she thinks we need to help more people. So there's that feeling that she wants to go out and Doctors Without Borders. I'm going to go... There are people that need to be helped in way further away areas, and we're not doing that. I'm going to go do that. But at the same time, so she's having those feelings at the same time that Picard is almost murdered several times, and they must have gone through it a lot.
She mentions all those times she did try to say something, and every single time it was a reminder of how not safe being his family would be.
But I think we should wrap it up now because it's been an hour long, and we'll see what happens next, and maybe we'll come back for part 2 after we've seen the last 4 episodes. Wait, we got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes to go. I can't count. 5 episodes to go.
Is it 5?
Yeah. I can't. It's 4. I can't do math. All right, I'm stupid. All right, so we have some episodes left. We'll come back for part 2. But my wife likes it. It's amazing, and I like it. It's amazing. I'm amazed. We'll see what happens. Goodbye.